in the National Assembly as the government seeks to finalize the budget for 2026. The Prime Minister under pressure to rein in France's deficit while also trying to keep his job. Sébastien Lecornu feeling the heat from the left and the right as the government seeks to push through belt-tightening measures. For more on this story, we can go across to Antonia Kerrigan, standing by at the National Assembly. Antonia, good afternoon. It's a busy week in Parliament and a potentially high-risk week for the government. What's going on?
Well, in this building, there are two bills being discussed in two different rooms. In the main chamber, they're discussing the main budget, and in a parliamentary select committee, they're discussing the more specific social security budget. Both of these bills contain potentially explosive stumbling blocks for Sébastien Lecornu's brand new government. Now, the Socialists have promised that they will use their 69 votes in the chamber to torpedo the main budget and censure the government if it does not contain fiscal justice measures. Now, they have called for radical measures to increase taxes on the highest income households in France. And they have proposed the so-called Zuckman tax, which the government has so far remained resistant to, and they have said, however, if nothing is in that budget, which will be debated in the next couple of days, Tuesday and Wednesday, are the dates on the cards for discussing fiscal justice measures. They have said it will be game over after that. The other stumbling block is that the government, in order to secure the support of the Socialist Party 10 days ago, the motions of no confidence, they promised the Socialists a suspension of the pension reform to secure their support. Now, that is something that angered the right-wing base of support in Parliament, and the right-wing could very much torpedo that measure too. The government, as you say, is depending on the support of the centre-left Socialist Party and the centre-right Republican Party, and both of those groups have reiterated that that support is extremely conditional.
Antonia, you mentioned the Zuckman tax. What more can you tell us about this tax, and why is it so controversial?
Well, so the Zuckman tax was originally, the idea was to implement a blanket tax of 2% on all, on wealth, on wealth of over 100 million euros, households worth over 100 million euros. That was set to raise between 15 and 25 billion euros a year in tax revenue. It was a proposal made by the Socialists, and one which which the centrist and right-wing political formations strongly oppose, saying that would include taxing companies, etc., including productive elements of the economy. They have since adjusted their proposition, put a so-called Zuckman Light proposal on the table, which is 3% of households worth 10 million or more, and other entities, holdings, etc., but excluding what they called family businesses and innovative companies, in short, startups are what they're talking about there. Now, that's much less productive in terms of the tax revenue it would generate. It's more like 5 to 7 billion as opposed to 15 to 25 billion. It's been warned against. The radical left France Unbowed party are already upbraiding the Socialists for backing down, which is something that they love to do, of course. They love to say that the Socialists aren't really left-wing and that the Socialists don't have the courage of their convictions, and they've called it a homeopathic Zuckman tax as a way of lambasting it for being as we said, a lightened measure. Other proposals could come on the table to do with taxing large fortunes, but certainly the government has remained extremely resistant to this Zuckman tax proposal. Even the lightened one, there hasn't been much support for in the centrist bloc, and it remains to be seen if something equivalent is put on the table by the government, because the Socialists have said, once again, if there isn't anything of that kind in this budget, it's game over.
We'll see what happens. Antonia Kerrigan, thank you very much for that. Antonia reporting that from the French National Assembly.